Guys, I will be dictating two passages every day, one general and one legal. So subscribe to my channel for latest updates.
5 seconds. That the road to banking reforms promises to be bumpy is evident from the trouble at the private sector Yes Bank, where the RBI has intervened, putting a cap on deposit withdrawals and appointing as administrator an official from the public sector State Bank of India. The crisis comes months after a similar situation surfaced at Punjab and Maharashtra Cooperative Bank Limited, raising doubts over the way banks in the private sector are regulated and dipping public confidence in financial institutions. The incident also comes weeks before the government is set to put in place its plans for the consolidation of 10 public sector banks into 4 mega state-owned lenders, amid concerns over the deadline of April 1 being met for want of regulatory approvals. The focus of banking reforms has mostly been on the public sector, faced as it is with mounting non-performing assets and loan defaulters diverting critical liquidity from more deserving causes and sectors. The country is facing a slowdown, and the banking sector reforms aim to give a fillip to the micro, small and medium enterprises MSME, extend the outreach and restructure credit to boost growth. The tenure of the present government has seen major policy upheavals in the shape of demonetization and the implementation of the GST, from which the economy is yet to recover. Even the ATMs had to be recalibrated to dispense the new currency notes, taking time and entailing great public inconvenience. Like in the case of the PSU banks, those in the private sector should be monitored strictly to prevent unscrupulous practices and asked to give details about their assets and liabilities, risk assessments, and future projections. Modernization of banks has brought about a qualitative change in people's lives by cutting down on hassles, and the reforms aim at enhanced access and service excellence program using technology to look out for early warning signs. Banks in the private sector too should not be out of its ambit. While financial inclusion is the aim of the government, firm action is needed to check the irregularities. The Haryana government has certainly pulled out all stops in the budget in its bid to pull the education sector out of the morass. First, there is an unprecedentedly high allocation of over 14% of the total outlay to education, up 2.56% from last year. The aforesaid provisions show that under section 331(1), exclusive jurisdiction in respect of suits, applications and proceedings referred to in schedule 2 of the act has been conferred on the courts specified in the said schedule, and the said proceedings, suits and applications cannot be entertained by the civil courts. The proviso to section 331(1) lifts the said bar in relation to any holding or part thereof where a declaration has been made under Section 143. Section 143 empowers the Assistant Collector, after making enquiry as may be prescribed, to make a declaration that a holding or part thereof is being used or held by a bhumidar for purposes not connected with agriculture, horticulture or animal husbandry. Where such a declaration is made in respect of a part of the holding, the Assistant Collector is required to demarcate the said part. The effect of the grant of such a declaration is that the provisions of Chapter 8 cease to apply with transferable rights with respect to such land. In our opinion, the question as to whether a particular land is land under Section 214, to which the provisions of the Act are applicable, would require determination of the question whether the land is held or occupied for purposes connected with agriculture, horticulture or animal husbandry, and that is a matter which has to be determined either in accordance with the provisions of sections 143 and 144, and if such a determination has not been made and such a question arises or is raised in a suit before a court, the procedure laid down in section 331A must be followed by the court. This would be so even in a case where a building exists on the land and the land is claimed to be appurtenant to the building, because in such a case it will be necessary to determine the extent of the land that is appurtenant to the building, that is, whether the entire land or only a part of it is so appurtenant to the building and for that reason is not held or occupied for purposes connected with agriculture, horticulture or animal husbandry. This determination has to be made in accordance with the provisions of sections 143 and 144 or section 331 of the Act. Para. In the present case, the respondents have not produced any such document which shows that declaration required under section 143 of the Act has been made, much less registered.